Pirqe Abot, Pirqe Halacha He. Asara Nisim Na'asu La'avotenu B'Misraim. There were 10 miracles that happened in Egypt on behalf of the Jewish people. Now, interesting, I want to read to you how Rambam interprets the miracles. He says as follows on his commentary on the Mishnah. He says, the miracles that took place on behalf of our fathers in Egypt are not the plagues. The plagues were miracles that took place for the Egyptians. What was the miracle that took place for our fathers in Egypt? The fact that we were saved from the plagues, right? That's a miracle. Every one of the plagues only affected the Egyptians, and none of them affected the Jewish people. Meaning that itself is a miracle. Leave aside, the water turning to blood. Leave aside sefar de'ah, whether it's frogs or whether it's crocodiles. Leave aside all those unusual and very odd, we will say almost supernatural events. That's for the Egyptians. For us, the additional miracle is why once the kinim, once the lice are attacking people in great numbers, why they're not attacking Jews, right? So that is another level of miracles. The fact that the Jews were being protected is itself an additional miracle. You remember in the Leil HaSeder, towards the end of the first half, before we finally get to Eid, we have the rabbis counting the number of miracles, and there's different shittot about how many miracles happened in Egypt. We say, no, it's just 10 miracles. So here we already have 20 miracles. Right? You see that? You see a minimum of 20 miracles. According to the Akiva, it was 50 miracles that happened in Egypt. Okay, but here we already have
one per finger,
yes.
10 per finger, yeah.
Yes, exactly. Right, that's correct. That's correct. Yes.
As you were talking, made me think of something. You said, like, the plagues happened, and then the fact that we were a part of it, it's almost like this idea of being kadosh, right? Separated.
Yeah.
So we were separated.
That's lovely idea. Yes.
Even in punishment.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So that separation, as you put it, from punishment, these are miracles. Every single one of the plagues, the Torah is explicit that, okay, here's what's happening, and by the way, for the Jews, it was good. There's only one plague where it's not explicit in the Torah that the Jews were saved from it. Meaning, we're not saying the Jews weren't saved from that plague, but the Torah doesn't mention it explicitly. And does anybody know which it is? The lice, the exact example that I brought. Okay? Doesn't say anything. But we have a tradition that also in the case of the lice, the Jewish people were not attacked. So why doesn't the Torah say, oh, by the way, there was no lice? And the answer is as follows. In the case of the lice were there. They were physically present all over Egypt. But in the case of the Egyptians, the lice were present and they attacked the people. In the case of the Jews, the lice were present, but they didn't touch the people. And that's why the Torah doesn't mention, oh, by the way, there was no lice among the Jewish people. There was lice in the Jewish people. For example, in the case of Makat Poshek, it says there was no darkness for the Jewish people. You can say that because it was light. You can say and here's going to give you a few examples. And this is from a tradition from the Chachamim, that the lice was present but didn't harm, which itself, by the way, I would even say that's like an extra miracle. One miracle is if the lice weren't there, but if the lice are there and they're not attacking, why are you not attacking? Right? That itself was a miracle. Okay. But every single one of the miracles, it's explicit. Amar Badam, for example, let's look at blood. The Pasuk says as follows, after the Nile turns to blood, the Pasuk says, the Egyptians could not drink water from the Ye'or. Why does it say it doesn't say they couldn't drink water from the Ye'or. It says the Egyptians couldn't drink water from the Ye'or. To teach us only the Egyptians couldn't drink, but the Jewish people were able to, right? Another example, Sephardea. Sephardea, many people say it's frogs, some people say it's crocodiles. Okay, whatever, however you want to explain Sephardea. I always thought it was crocodiles. I thought that was a more compelling reason for Pharaoh to let the Jewish people leave, but as you wish. I think that she brings both explanations. I believe he brings Sephardea as frogs and also as crocodiles. Maybe it was both. Maybe it was amphibious creatures. Okay. It says as follows: Uba'u bebetecha. The Sephardea will enter. This is a warning that Moses is giving the Pharaoh. They will enter your house. That's pretty scary, by the way. Whether it's frogs or whether it's crocodiles, they're like invading the house. Ubehadar mishkavecha. They will enter your bedroom. They will even go onto your bed. And they're going to attack you, Mr. Pharaoh. They're going to attack all your nation, and they're going to attack all of your servants. So here you see explicitly to the Egyptians, not for the Jews, right? In the case of Arov, yeah, the lice went to the Jews. The lice entered the houses of the Jews or the neighborhoods of the Jews. They just didn't attack them. Okay, Be'amar be'arov, another example. Arov is, you had these animals, a mixture of animals. So you had like these like hyenas, jackals, wild dogs. So these animals, usually they stay away from human habitation. They get scared from human beings. If there's a natural fear that animals have from human beings. We were recently in Vermont about 2 weeks ago when we didn't have a class. So we went to this like a house in the middle of the forest, mountain, like you have to drive on this lonely mountain road and like you don't see anybody for like 20 minutes, no houses. And we finally got to our cabin. And it was like, oh, so my kids wanted to do a bonfire. No religious significance to it. As you know, I don't do it for religious reasons, but it was a fun thing. We had a giant fire pit, so like, we made this huge fire, and I went to the front of the house. I heard some noise. It was a huge bear, and he saw me, and he just like ran away. Like I was ready to run away, but he beat me to it. So animals have a natural right. I think he smelled the food. We had like we were like baking things on the on the fire or like whatever, right? So he probably smelt it, right? But I'm like. He's afraid of me, or I'm afraid of him. Like which is this supposed to be? Usually they're afraid of people. If they feel threatened and they feel like, oh my gosh, what do I do? They'll attack. But normally they get scared.
Rabbi, you start the engines. I'm out of here.
No, like I told you, I wasn't like no heroism on my part, no bravado. I just wanted to get the heck out of there, but he beat me to it. So anyway, so the Arov, normally animals they stay away from people. They don't want to they don't want to get involved with these creatures. Whatever they see these creatures walking on two legs, it's like frightening for them. In the case of the Arov, they entered all of the Egyptian areas, and the pasuk says over there, it says "V'hifleti." I'm going to separate Vayamahu et Eretz Goshen, the land of Goshen, which is where the Jews were. So where the Jews were, there was no Arov. The animals stayed away. Where the Egyptians were, they came to them. Right? Again, it doesn't say V'hifleti in the Kenim. In the Kenim, there was no V'hifleti. Here it says separating. Okay. But furthermore, the Amar Devet, we're continuing. Devet is when the animals got sick, right? So all the animals, the horses, the cows, they were getting illnesses. It says explicitly, none of the Jewish cattle died, nothing. So you see how every single makkah, it shows the separation between the Egyptians and the Jews. Continuing. The shechin is the horrible boils that infected the skin of the Egyptians, right? So it says that the shechin attacked the Haltumim. The Haltumim were the magicians of the Pharaoh, and then from them, it spread out throughout Egypt. So it started there with the Haltumim, and then later on, it spread out throughout Egypt.
Do we see that?
Yeah. It says, Ki haya hashechin b'chaltumim imchol Misraim.
Oh, that's it.
You see, it's explicit. It's explicit. These are all pasukim.
Yep.
And then the next one, Baral.
The Deborah is interesting in that With the other ones, you could say that, okay, Hashem is protecting the Jews or his people, but even their animals are
Yeah.
getting protection.
Right, exactly. And we see that even our animals, there's a kedusha, the bechor, kadesh yichol bechor pete kol rechem b'bnei Yisrael ba'adam uba behema, right? So, right? And with the animals, we read in Parashat Bechukotai, ha'asiri yeh kodesh. So even our animals, correct.
Also, when you, by the Tochaha, I'm not sure if it's Hukotai or Kitavo, Vehifla, Hashem, Hukotecha, Veitmakot Zvacha.
Yeah.
That also means to separate.
Yes, exactly. There Bar Minan, it's the other way.
The other way around.
Chas v'shalom Bar Minan. When we're low, we're at the lowest. Like what happened on October 7th was very other than the horribleness and the terribleness of the tragedy, of course, but there was also something very unusual, like what was going on, like where was everybody? Where was the army? Was it like it didn't make any sense? Like it's like.
I thought it's Vehifla meaning like Lashon Pele, like something. Like,
But Pele in the sense of this is something separate. So right, because when you Pele, it's something statistically unusual. It's unusual that it would happen this way. That's what Pele means, right? So yeah. You said the animals. There's a famous story in the Gemara with Hamorosh of the Pirqe Abot Class. So the Pirqe Abot Class was a Sadiq, Hasidah Kadisha, and they robbed his donkey. So they took the donkey. The robbers got the donkey, and they wanted to feed the donkey. They want to use it for work. The donkey refused to eat. So they refused to eat. He doesn't want to eat. He doesn't. So they explain that the donkey refused to eat because they didn't take the Ma'asrot from his food. All right, no problem. So the robbers, they don't know what to do. They're like, the animal's starving to death. They said, the heck with this. We're going to have a dead animal, a dead carcass. What are we going to do with the dead carcass? Just bring the animal back to the Pirqe Abot Class. So they bring the animal back to the Pirqe Abot Class. And I said, listen, we robbed your animal. We're very sorry, but he's not eating. Do you know why he's not eating? He says, yeah, because you're not taking to the Ultim Asrot. So the robbers say, but the animal eats hay. You don't have to take the Ultim Asrot from the hay. So they said, he said, yeah, that's true, but he's mahmir on himself. He's very mahmir the animal. so he's not eating it. All right, I just brought that because you said it's an actual story in the Gemara, but I'm bringing it because you brought that the animals were holy. Comparatively speaking, that is correct. Okay, let's continue. Next one, Barad. Barad was probably more like a meteor shower. Because the way it's described, it's snow mixed with fire. If you have a comet is actually snow mixed with fire. It's on the one hand like stone filled with ice, but as it gets close to the sun, the ice turns into a fiery flame. That's where you have the tail of the comet from the solar wind. So apparently some sort of comet maybe exploded, and then you had these meteorites falling down, which were partial snow, partial fire, right? Anyway, so the Amal Babarad, Rak de Eres Goshen Arshesham Bnei Yisrael Barad. It says explicitly that where the Jewish people were, there was no Barad. Again, Pele, right? Continuing, the Amal Ba'arbe. After Barad, what comes? Locust. And it says explicitly, explicitly, where did the locust enter? Your houses, Mr. Pharaoh. The houses of your servants, Mr. Pharaoh, and the houses of all the Egyptians. So the locusts, and again, locusts never enter houses. Locusts, they go to the fields, they attack the fields, they attack the vegetation. Here the locusts were entering the houses of the Egyptian. Again, you brought the word Pele. This is a Pele Gadol, like what is happening here? So, but nothing for the Jewish people. And finally, Choshech. What is the Choshech? In Choshech, darkness, it was darkness for all the Egyptians. V'yamesh Choshech. You can feel it. For the Hebrews, it says, L'chol b'nei Yisrael haya or demosh votam. For the Jewish people, it was light. And of course, Makat Bechorot, and after Makat Bechorot, there, if you had blood from the Korban Pesach on the doorpost, you were protected. If a person was Jewish and he didn't have the blood of the Korban Pesach on his house, there was no protection. That's why he doesn't bring it. Understand? Meaning, Makat Bechorot, there was a protection, but there it wasn't a long Jew versus Goy. It was a long, you do the Korban Pesach, you did Berit Milah, you brought Korban Pesach, you painted the doorpost with blood, protection. Otherwise, Jews who didn't want to do it, no protection. You understand? All right. So that's Asara Nisim Na'asu La'avoteinu b'Mitzrayim. Furthermore, how many miracles happened on the ocean? So you remember again, Mark, you brought the famous Haggadah. So 250, or depending how many you say happened in Egypt. But here the Mishnah is of the opinion that there was 10 miracles. 10 miracles happened to our fathers on Yam Suf. So I'm going to read to you what the 10 miracles he's referring to. Now these 10 miracles are, this everybody agrees upon. Obviously, for example, it'll be Akiva in the Haggadah, it says 250 miracles. He adds 240 miracles to these 10. I wasn't there in Bnei Berak that night, so I don't know what miracles he was counting, but he must have supported his position. So let's read what the 10 miracles were. Harishon. The first miracle is the Peshat of the Pasuk. Shenivka. The ocean split open. That is a miracle. Normally, some people wanted to say that there was a giant tsunami. Right? You ever hear that theory that Yam Suf was a giant tsunami? But that's not what's described in the Pasuk. It's not that we're embarrassed, like we're okay. If it was, it doesn't bother me. But it just doesn't fit the story. Like you're trying to explain what happened, in the Twin Towers, you say there was an earthquake. Okay, there was no earthquake. When you see the building falling from on top and stuff like that, and smoke coming out of the building before it falls, right? So I'm saying that a tsunami doesn't explain anything. The ocean splitting, there's nothing that can explain an ocean splitting in half. But that's what happened. The pasuk says, "Vayibake'u hamayim." It literally split open. Just like in the famous movie, The 10 Commandments. Did anybody not see Cecil B. DeMille's 10 Commandments? It used to be on every, I remember when I was growing up, always before Pesach, they would have it on, right? It was a 4.5-hour movie with the commercials, right? I don't know.
Jack Haddad had the stick.
Huh?
Yeah, he had the stick.
Oh, he does? He has to stick
Yeah.
with today? Okay, exciting. That's amazing.
Because he worked on the movie.
Yeah, he worked on the movie set. That's amazing.
Yeah, amazing.
Okay, so that's Vayibaki'u hamayim. All right. The Anes Hasheni.
What page are we on, Rabbi?
We're on page 44. I'm reading to you, though, the commentary of Maimonides on the Mishnah, because all we have in the Mishnah is there were 10 miracles. What were they? So if you want to know what those miracles were, that's why I brought the Harambam with me, so that I can read to you what the miracles were.
I love your footnotes.
Oh, yeah, I got some stuff here. Okay.
That's what the Rambam left out.
No. I just my own like sometimes I see something or I'm thinking of something and I just want to. Okay.
It looks like a grocery list.
No, it's not. It's not.
Cucumbers.
Right. Do not forget the milk! Exclamation mark! Exclamation mark! Exclamation mark! Okay. All right. Okay. So that was the first one. Second one, this you probably didn't know. When the water split open, it opened from the bottom, forming a tunnel. Meaning where the movie, okay, I'm not blaming the movie, the Peshat of the Pasuk is split open, but we have a tradition, it did split open, but it split open from the bottom, so it calls like a tunnel.
Some say
So there was
also divided into 12.
yeah, we're going to see that. Yes, correct. Right. So the first,
Dry, it was marble.
yes, all these miracles we're going to be reading now. Correct. Margaret. Right. So first of all, it was so.
Like the shark thing,
Now,
now,
why is that important? Because it wasn't just like that. Because the Egyptians, they had bows and arrows and spears, and as the Jews were entering the water. Okay, at first they couldn't reach them, but then eventually the fire goes and they reach the thing and they want to shoot the spears at them, but they couldn't see anything. You understand the point?
under the water.
Because they're under the water. So you see like this thing of water, so you're shooting blindly. Where do you shoot? You understand?
But in the Torah it says specifically Choma.
No, it was, because if you think about it, you're walking this tunnel and you have Maim Choma, there's a wall here, but there's also a roof. So like when you're in the like the broken battery tunnel. You have a wall on one side, a wall on the other side, and then you have a roof above you, right? So, okay, let's continue. So that was the second one. The third one, V'ne'esat, the third miracle, Shekarka'o nitkashe. Now, if you ever walk into the water, it's muddy. Now, as you get into the deeper water, if you try to walk in, you can sink in the mud. But you're floating on the water. The water kind of is, you're buoyant in the water, so you don't sink because you're kind of floating in the water. But if suddenly the water recedes and you wanted to walk, let's say you were walking with camels and you have wagons, right? And you're going through the mud, what's going to happen? It's going to get stuck. Yeah, I was...
Take that stroll in the sand.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Don't find it.
You can't, there's nothing, you can't do anything. Yeah, you can't do anything. One of the most dangerous waters in that I've ever been in my life is in Los Cabos, Mexico. You ever go to Los Cabos? Okay, so first of all, they have the craziest waves I've ever seen. They're like, it's mamash, it's Mavila Rayon, like you say, Ishtabach Shemo. It's just
Pacific was crashing there.
no, right, no, so they have the Sea of Cortez on one side, and they have the Pacific on the other, and the waves on both are just it's just like non-stop, like you're literally just one giant wave after, like it's just literally, we were there for like close to a week, and it was non-stop. It was beautiful and mesmerizing. Anyway, they had a beach there where you could walk into the water, because a regular beach you just can't walk in, it's just too dangerous. At least when we were there. Maybe there's times of the year where it's not so dangerous. But there was one area, they said, you can walk here. It was like a bay, and the waves weren't really as big there. They were like much smaller. But you would sink into the water. So it was extremely dangerous because you're walking and you're sinking, and there's like an undertow. So it was very dangerous. So I was thinking about this miracle here that he's talking about, that when you walk on the seabed, it can be very, very hard to walk, especially if you're carrying things and your children and family and whatever loads you're carrying. So here the third miracle was v'kafe'a lahem, the ground, and you said it before, Marcus, the ground became solid. כמו שאמר, הלכו ביבשה בתוך הים. What does it mean, הלכו ביבשה בתוך הים? It's explicit in the pasuk. They went on dry land inside the ocean. What do you mean they went on dry land inside the ocean? But it wasn't dry. I get it that the ocean receded, but the land was still muddy. No. הלכו ביבשה. So now when you see that thing, הלכו ביבשה בתוך הים, you remember this miracle. This is the third one.
Betoch also probably hints at the tunnel idea, no? Because you're...
So the tunnel is from a pasuk in Habakkuk. Nakavta bematio rosh perazav. There's a pasuk in Habakkuk, like naked, like you made like a tunnel, like a tunnel through the ocean.
Betoch wouldn't say that? Why do you have to go?
Maybe also betoch hayam in inachinameh betoch hayam. I like that. That's a very nice to you, by the way. You're right, because you have betoch hayam. That's a nice point. Yeah. Okay, the fourth miracle. Shederech HaMisrim bo hayta batit davik. When the Egyptians got there, the waters got muddy. So the Jews went there first. It was dry. By the time the Egyptians got there, the mud, somehow, I guess the water maybe was oozing from under. I don't know what happened. But because we know their wheels got stuck in the it says Vaynahageu bichvedut, right? That when they were going, they were trying very hard, but the wheels were getting stuck in the mud. So why weren't the Jews getting stuck in the mud? It says explicitly, but for the Egyptians, no. Okay, the fifth miracle. Shenivka derachim harbe k'minyan hashevatim, keshet agol betoch keshet agol. So there were different. So interesting. All right, so let me explain this. So everybody thinks that they went from one side of the Red Sea, they went to the other side of the Red Sea, right? That's a common story. It's actually not accurate. So imagine here, let's just take this. So imagine the Jews are here, and the Egyptians are chasing them from here. So everybody wants to go in this direction. So the Jews enter the Red Sea, and you say, they got to the other side here. That's not what happened. So what actually happened is, let's say they entered from here, they went like a rainbow, and they got out from here. Okay, so just this is like just background to explain what I'm about to explain. But you understand, it's not that they went to the other side, but rather they entered from one side, whatever it took, how many, 4, 5, 6 hours or whatever it was, and they exited on the other side. Right? Clear? Okay. Now there was 12 tunnels. So one tunnel here, one tunnel here, one tunnel here, one tunnel here. So there was one tunnel for each one of the 12 Shevatim. Now why is this important? Because the Jewish people, and we see this in last week's Parashat Bamidbar, God wants us to be like an army, organized. Every Shevet, every tribe has its spot. There's 4 different camps around the Aron HaKodesh. Each camp has 3 tribes. Each camp has a degel, has a flag. So this is the way God wants us to be arranged in a very specific and very orderly manner. Can you imagine the opposite? So the opposite is a bunch of slaves, rioting and pillaging and just, running and crazy like man. So what happened actually was the exact opposite. And that's why, what do you call the night of Passover when we celebrate our redemption from Egypt? And what does the word seder mean? Order, organized, you understand? So the idea, so God didn't want this to be like, people trying to clamor. You ever see people trying to clamor onto the train in Japan? I love Japan, by the way. I really do. I think it's a great country. I love the Japan, at least from what I see. But anyway, so like everybody's just pushed into the train, right? Doesn't matter who you are, what you are. They push. Have like actually, wait, you were there, right? Am I exaggerating it?
I've seen it, yeah.
Seen it, okay. So here, God wanted every tribe to have its specific pathway. Again, as an introduction to the idea that we're not just a group of hooligans, acting in a wild way, and trying to escape. No. We maintained our dignity, we maintained our derech eres. Shevet Reuben, you go here. Shevet Shimon, you go here, etc., etc. You understand? So that's the next miracle. So it's actually 13, so it would be 13 because it's 13 Shevatim. Yeah, okay? And this is what the Pasuk says, and it's explicit in the Pasuk. The Pasuk says, Legozer Yamsuf Ligzarim. God made many splits in Yamsuf, right? Not one, many, because there was a number of tribes. Number 6. Shekafa Hamayim Venitkasha Ka'avanim. There's a pasuk that says, beautiful pasuk, that when the Egyptians were trying to pursue the Jews, and the Jews entered the ocean. Now, I want you to tell me on your own. The Jews are entering this ocean. Now, the ocean is not a friendly place. I personally don't like the ocean. I know people like to scuba dive and stuff like that. I don't. There's a lot of dangerous creatures there. And I'd rather just stay away from them, personally. Not just sharks and whales and octopuses and whatever, squids and zooids. Ever see zooids, by the way? Longest creature in the world, 50 meters long. It's actually a colony of different creatures. One sting of the zooid is the most painful sting on the planet of any creature. I don't know if they took the bullet ant into account, but I assume they did. Anyway, they have a lot of very unfriendly creatures in the ocean. Now imagine you're going through this tunnel, and now they have these sea creatures there. The water ain't protecting you, right? So let's just give you an example. Let's say there's a hungry shark, and he sees you, and you're walking in this tunnel. What's that shark gonna do? He's gonna be looking for dinner, right? So it says, Shibarta Rashetanim Alamayim. God, you smash the heads of the whales or the sea creatures on the water. Meaning, one of the miracles that happened was that the water became solid like stone. So the sea creatures were not able to attack any of the Jewish people. Otherwise, it would have been a terrifying experience for the Jews. Instead, you had the sea creatures, when they would hit the wall, they'd get smashed like a bird trying to fly through a window, right? Understand? So that was.
So the water became icy.
The water became stone-like.
glass.
I mean, maybe ice, whatever caused it to freeze, whatever was there. But yeah, it became like stone, so they weren't able to go through the water and attack.
Not only that, I also heard it became like a drink from it,
Ah.
flowers, and
Yeah, right now. Okay, so first of all, we said about that it became stone. The
So it's
Shevi'i, I'm sorry.
Sorry, if I may.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it works within nature. In other words, that shark still has that tendency to want to attack.
Mm-hmm.
Could have been just as much of a miracle if you change it. And God made it so that the sharks and the squid, they saw these people and they turned the other way. Oh, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not hungry, or I'm not. And
Yeah.
on each and every shark, right?
Right.
No. You're still going to do your natural thing.
Yeah.
Because you want to attack human beings sometimes. But, I'm going to stop you in a somewhat supernatural, different way.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, which is more dramatic, and also we appreciated it more because we saw what's happening, so
Right.
we understood. Wow, this.
So he saved us again.
Yeah. Give me some water, please, Albert. Okay. The seventh thing, שלא קפא כקרח, כלומר חתיכה אחת אלא מפורד ומחולק כאילו הם אבנים סגורים זו על זו. ברוך אתה אדוני. This is a strange miracle. The seventh miracle is strange. It says that the water, yes, it froze, okay, as we said, or it became like stone, but it was beautiful. It was beautiful stone, meaning it was like stone, it was like bricks laid upon each other in a very beautiful design, meaning it was aesthetic. That's the word I'm using for, right? So there was a certain artistry to the way the walls looked. You saw you didn't just see like solid, like a cave, it's just solid stone. Here it was like beautifully designed layers of,
Almost like this.
This is in Eilat. It's
Oh,
the
wow.
Underwater Observatory.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay,
Twice.
beautiful. When were you there?
2018 and 2016.
Beautiful.
So
So it was designed beautifully, like bricks layered upon each other. Now the question is why? What's the point here? Does anybody know what the point is?
for us again,
Why?
as you're leaving, you want to see something nice.
Yeah. There's a Gemara that says, a Midrash and a Gemara, that when Yosef left, when Yosef was sold into slavery, it's horrible. Like, can you imagine Yosef? He's like just torn away. They tear off his clothing. They subject him to horrible humiliation. They throw him in a pit. They take him out of a pit. They give him to a bunch of savage Ishmaelites. I mean, just think of everything he's going through. And then the Midrash says, by the way, when he went to Egypt, they were selling spices. So he was put on the wagon where there was beautiful smelling spices. That's what the Hachamim say. So they say, okay, it's like, what do you, like, wow. No, like, God wanted him to enjoy the beautiful smells of the spices. So I was like really? Like the guy's just about to be sold into a slave. He doesn't know what they're going to do to him. Oh, no, they'll kill him, they'll torture him. And the answer is, and it's so interesting. Yeah, it's true. It's true. They're about to sell him, he's about to become a slave, and he's going to go through like years and years from the age of 17 to the age of 30 of just horrible, like what a horrible journey, with Potifera and getting thrown into the jail and all that. Okay. But in the meantime, if we can make you enjoy the journey, God will make you enjoy the journey. And so something as trivial as making this beautiful layered bricks, like you say, it's trivial, but it's not trivial. Okay, let me ask you, when you got married to your wife and you had to leave the wedding and go to the hotel, did you have like a jalopy? Or if anybody had a jalopy, let me know. I think most of you probably had like a nice car, kind of, right? You want to like, well, what do you care about the nice car? You're going like, going to a nice hotel now? Like, who cares? No, I'm gonna pick her up in a jalopy, broken down jalopy with feeling every bottle. So the answer is no, because we love her and you want to show her how much you love her. That's what this is. This is God showing the Jewish people how much He loves us. So He makes this beautiful design. I wanted to enjoy it as much as possible. God loved Yosef. Yosef was Sadiq. It was a Sadiq. Okay, what happened was part of his journey and part of his growth. But I'm going to give you beautiful spices so you can enjoy Borei Min Evesamim while you're going to Egypt. Enjoy that. So while you're in this ocean, you think it's going to be hell. Oh my gosh, run for your lives. The Egyptians are coming. Take it easy. Everything is good. Enjoy the view. Enjoy the scenery. Understand the idea? Okay. Next. The Shemini, and this is related to what I just said. The walls were see-through and they looked like diamonds and like sapphires. Right? So as people were walking through these tunnels, they're like looking, like Shevet Reuven, oh, there's Shevet Shimon, right? And oh, there's Shevet Levi. So it was imagine like what an unbelievable effect this must have been. Like you're walking through this like prism, like in glass tunnels, and you see everybody around you. It's like Janin and the fish, and right? So again, jalopy or a nice car, right? In our days, they had these big limousines. I don't know when you guys got married. In my days, like a big limousine, very uncomfortable, I have to say. But today, I'd just rather have a big, what do they call it? A Jeep, a 4x4, right? As much I feel like these limousines are so small, like you can't.
That was 1999 Rolls Royce.
Oh, really? That what people do now? Wow. It probably costs more to rent for a day than I pay on my car in 4 years.
$500 a night with the guy.
What? I'm sorry?
500 a night with the driver.
Why? Okay. All right. So that's the new standard. Okay. That's
How long were they in the,
Uber.
a few hours till the sun rose and the next day. Yeah, sunrise the next day. Ve'ashemini. We said, so the eighth one is this beautiful sapphire, diamond-like, right? Okay. Kalomar. Right. Ve'tashi'i, the ninth miracle. The ninth miracle is, look, you're on the road, you need to drink water. Where are you going to stop? In the middle of the ocean. It says that there was sweet water. There was like water fountains, like springing from the walls, where people were able to stop and drink water, sweet water. And that's a big miracle. How do you get sweet water out of the ocean? Okay, but that's what happened. And the 10th and final miracles. And the final and 10th miracle is that this water fountains, when they would reach the ground, they wouldn't make muddy ground, because otherwise the people walking about would get mud. They would freeze on the ground and people were able to walk, and there was no issue with sinking in the mud. So on the one hand, you have these two contradictory things. You have water coming out of the walls and you can drink it, but those waters, they'd somehow get absorbed by the soil and the soil would stay dry. So this is the 10 miracles that everybody agrees upon, meaning the Hachamim that you see in the night of Pesach, in the Haggadah, that they're arguing with each other, but not on this. On this, there's unanimity that these are the miracles that took place in Yam Suf. Okay? Very nice. So now I'm just going to read the Mishnah one more time. So you look at it. So we have Asana Nisim Asul Avotem B'Mitzrayim. We read what those miracles were. The Asara Al Hayam, and 10 miracles on the ocean. Right? Okay. Ve'eser Al Hayam. All right, that's it. I think we can stop here. What do you say? Good place. Yeah. Does anybody want to have a class at Shavuot? I'm willing. I'm happy to do it. If you want to. Yeah, maybe like 9 o'clock. Does that make sense? 9. What do you like? We do like 9 to 10:30.
I'm gonna be in deal.
No, of course, no. I don't expect you. But if you